then the abuse continued. So there was a number of things. It just felt like I had a target on me. The cycle kept going. But all through that, when I was a freshman at 17, I had started into counseling and was pretty faithful client. You know, it was pretty consistent. And sometimes I would switch counselors, but it was really few and far between. We'd really try to stick it out, but it always seemed like nothing was getting better, like I wasn't getting better. And finally, in 96, I was diagnosed as being bipolar. And for the next 7 years, it was really being put on every medication under the sun, medications increasing and decreasing, and combined with this and that. And was halfway through the master's in counseling program when I was hospitalized for a second time and was just imminently suicidal for a year and a half. And I really didn't know how to not kill myself because it felt like I was avoiding the inevitable. And after living like that for a year and a half, then finally I think I burned out the counselor who was seeing me at the time. And she ended up talking to a colleague friend of hers who's a child psychiatrist who knew of, at that point, of intensive trauma therapy. And so she referred me for treatment. And I came here with no hope that it was going to help at all, but really only wanted to come here because I thought, if I came here, then in good conscience, I'll know I tried everything. And so I'll be off the hook and I'll be free to kill myself. So that was why I came for treatment. I didn't have any hope that it would work. And by the end of the first day, I knew it was drastically different than anything else that I'd been through. I had a lot of fear of coming because I was going to be staying in a hotel by myself because I didn't have anybody to come with me. But even by the first hour of the first day, it was drastically different than any other experience I'd ever had in counseling because I was always trying to explain to therapists what having been through trauma was like. And instead, the staff at ITT was explaining to me the effects of trauma and why I was experiencing the things I was. For people who've been through trauma, it almost seems like it's its own culture. It has its own language and it has its own set of experiences. And so pretty quickly people are getting what you're saying and the differences. You know, I always say my experience of traditional counseling was I liken it to I felt like I was a toilet, and I would go into the 50-minute session and they would stick the plunger in and go until all the crap was just hovering right at the brim, and I was just kind of like trying not to breathe, hoping it wouldn't overflow, and then it'd be like, oh, look at the time, and that was the end of the 50-minute session, and I would kind of go walking out of the session like, how am I going to hold it together for the next week until I come back for another session? And intensive trauma therapy is the roto-rooter. I got the clog out of the way so that all the crap was able to go out instead of just be, resurfaced and ebb back down, and the tide go back up and back down. So once you say that, I think that's it must be pretty consistent to people's experience of traditional counseling because people usually resonate with that. So it was kind of a shocker because I didn't come for healing. I came to be off the hook and free to kill myself. So I had to rethink my game plan on that. But by the end of the 2 weeks, my hair actually went from kind of straight to curly, tiny little curls. That was how drastic the hormone shift in my body was as a reaction to the treatment that I went through. Just internally. And I wasn't, no added medications or change in medication or anything like that. So, and by the end of the second week, I think the roommate that I had at the time probably had a bigger adjustment because she was used to trying to get me to engage in life and not just sleep the entire day away on the couch and that sort of thing. And at that point, I went back and back into school. I had to take an incomplete because it was finals week when I came for treatment. And went back, and instead of being the person that she was trying to, come on, don't you want to go get a bite to eat? Come on, don't you want to go shoot pool? Instead of that, I'm saying, I want to go here, and I want to go there, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. She was just kind of like, who are you, and what'd you do with my roommate? So it was amazing. I was completely dumbfounded and completely sold and completely relieved in a lot of ways because being halfway through my master's in counseling program, I was to the point where I thought, in good conscience, even if I didn't kill myself, I couldn't become a therapist because I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe it worked because if it didn't work for the hard stuff, it didn't count. And I'd been in it for 16 years. I'd given it the good old college try, and I was done with it. And I didn't essentially want to be a used car salesman. And what I did, I wanted it to really be something real and something helpful. So obviously by the end of treatment, I was sold on the effectiveness of the instinctual trauma response model, and came back and did my practicum and got certified as a trauma therapist, and that's what I do today.